Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head back to Norway. You saw me review a lovely beer from Aktiebryggeri a couple of videos back, and in that video I mentioned that I was actually going to Oslo for a weekend, and when I was up there I did manage to get a nice little selection of beers from Vinmonopolet. So we're going to kick off with that sort of selection of beers that I brought back. So for this first one we are going to go to a brewery that pretty much everyone that's into their craft beer should know. So we're going to have a taste of another beer from Lervig Aktiebryggeri, who are from Stavanger over on the coast in Norway, and this is their Konrads Stout. So this is a beer I've wanted to try for a little while. I've heard some very good things about it. It's a Russian Imperial Stout coming in at 10.4%, so it should be a lovely beer, this one. This one has a rating of around 4 on Untappd when I checked it out, and I think it was well into the 90s. I think it was a 93 or 94 or something like that it had when I had a little quick look at it on Rate Beer. As I always say, take the take the peer reviewing sites with a bit of a pinch of salt. Beer is pretty much about your own opinion as well. But yeah, this one I've heard is a very nice beer, and I've had another couple of recommendations from Lervig as well. So I know these guys do a hell of a lot of beers. If you're into Lervig, do let me know what your favourite beers are and what ones you think I should try from these guys in the description below, and hopefully I can pick up some of those the next time I go over to Copenhagen. But very much looking forward to trying this one. This will kick off maybe around 10 or so different Norwegian reviews over the next couple of weeks, and I hope you enjoy that mini-series as well. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from the Lervig Aktiebryggeri before. There will definitely be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Norwegian beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then. So as I mentioned earlier, the Lervig Aktiebryggeri are based in Stavanger in southwestern Norway, which is of course the main oil city over there. A big connection to Aberdeen in Scotland, where I studied my master in chemistry, of course. But the Lervig Aktiebryggeri was founded back in 2003 after the Toa brewery was sold to Carlsberg, and subsequently production was moved down to Oslo. But for a while the beers were produced at the Mack Brewery in Tromsø. However, the production was then moved to Hilvåg in Stavanger back in 2005. So the head brewer for Lervig is Mike Murphy, and he's been there since 2010. Prior to this, the brewery were just making many kind of light lager beers, but Mike moved them more towards making the American style craft beers that they've now become pretty famous for. But Mike apparently played a big role in the Danish craft beer revolution, and he collaborated with many of the kind of renowned Danish brewers such as Mikkel and Jeppe Bjergso, and also Sean Hill and Andreas Kiesmeyer as well. And this is what really helped raise the profile of the Lervig Aktiebryggeri in the early days, and also helped them make quite a lot of connections as well. He's also previously worked for Birra del Borgo in Italy, and he now owns 5% of the Lervig Aktiebryggeri. But the main owner of the company is Christopher Stensrud, who owns 67% of the shares, and in total this brewery actually now exports 20% of all the beer exported from Norway. So they've gone and grown a hell of a lot over the last couple of years that they've been going. I think it must have been around 2015 or so, 2015, 2016, that I first tried my first beer from Lervig Aktiebryggeri. It was a red ale from what I remember, and at that point, I still love red ales, but at that point I was going through the phase that every red ale I saw I pretty much bought, and I really liked it, and that was the first beer that I ever tried from Lervig Aktiebryggeri. I think since then I've maybe done about tried 7 or 8 different beers from them now, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about the Lervig Aktiebryggeri just now. Probably Norway's biggest craft beer exporter these days, although I guess you can still count kind of Nøgne in that bracket as well. They were the ones who really kicked it off with Keitel Jikjun, and then they've been bought by one of the the other, I think it was the Hansa Brewery or something like that, they were bought by. But yeah, these guys, very, very well known brewery these days throughout the world, and they're doing some pretty damn awesome stuff, both on the dark side of the spectrum and on the lighter side of the spectrum with the IPAs and stuff like this. So if you get the chance to try some of their beers, they might be a little bit pricey simply because they are from Norway, production costs are higher, you know, labour costs, and the currency is just quite strong there. So just be aware of that, but they are pretty damn good. You will pay a bit more for them, but I don't think you will be disappointed with them. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of the beer. If you want to learn more about the brewery, the Facebook and Instagram for them is in the description below. They are quite prolific. That keeps you up to date with all the different beers that they do. And yeah, check out the brewery website as well. So let's have a look at the artwork of this one then. So this one is quite nicely presented. I like that actually. I'm guessing this is a sort of representation of the you know, of the Norwegian fjords. We can get rid of the brewery notes now, of course, but yeah, I'm guessing this is just a representation, a nice artistic representation of the mountains around Stavanger. You know, Norway, of course, very, very famous for its waterfront and fjord and things like that, and all the mountains and stuff. But it's an absolutely, I mean, from what the little we saw of it going on the sort of bus up to Oslo, it looks absolutely beautiful. So it's somewhere I think we definitely need to explore more in the summer when when the weather's a little bit better, and of course when we save a little bit for it, because Norway is, you know, you pay about an extra 50% on top of things, I think somewhere around that compared to Sweden, and probably about 30% more in comparison with Denmark, so it is an expensive country. But yeah, they earn more and their currency's stronger, so that's kind of why it's expensive for tourists. But yeah, there you can see the bottle cap on this one, standard Lervig Aktiebryggeri bottle cap. I don't think I have one this colour, so I will be keeping it. But as I mentioned at the start of the video, this one is a 10.4% Russian Imperial Stout, so that means it'll have a lovely kind of oatmeal-y sort of base to it. So let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. This one didn't want to open there, nearly destroyed it. But yeah, as you can see, nice little bit of smoke, and we'll get this guy out and into the glass. This beer I bought at the Vinmonopolet in Oslo City, which apparently is the main one in Oslo when it comes to craft beer. So if you are visiting Oslo, make sure that you go to the one that's the Vinmonopolet that's quite close to the train station in the Oslo City Mall. Because I made the mistake of going to one of the smaller ones and they had not a lot of beer, which I was really disappointed at. But they directed me towards the one at the Oslo City Mall, and I got a nice little selection. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely dark ebony kind of rosewood colour, which is exactly what you would expect from an Imperial Stout. There's a half finger or so, yeah, about a half finger of quite a dark tan head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and you can see a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. I will say that you can probably see the distance I am away from this glass, but you can smell some lovely sweet aromas just coming out of this beer, even from this distance. Actually, I think this is going to be quite one of the sweeter Russian Imperial Stouts, but the Russian Imperial Stout of course leans towards the more roasty, toasty side of the spectrum within the Imperial Stout category. But yeah, it looks like an absolutely lovely beer. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see there's not a lot of transparency to that. If I hold it up to the light, it does have one of those very dark chestnut, almost Coca-Cola coloured edges to it when the light shines through it. But yeah, nothing particularly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance when you consider that it is an Imperial Stout. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one. Oh yeah, when you go closer into this beer, definitely it's a little bit more kind of roasty and toasty. But yeah, it's got a lovely, it's quite well balanced to it actually. It's got a lovely balance to it. So with this beer, there's some lovely kind of, there's a good balance with the chocolate. You've got some of that higher cocoa, you know, the 80-90% cocoa chocolate in here, but you've also got some of the milkier chocolate too, which is really nice. And yeah, I think there's a little tiny touch of a brown sugar, but quite a well-fired brown sugar at that. It's very subtle though. And there's definitely some woody, nutty notes to this beer. It's maybe got a little bit of a kind of leathery kind of aroma to it as well, which is quite interesting. Quite often I've seen some people using tobacco, the smell of tobacco as a descriptor for Imperial Stouts and stuff like that, and you know, you can get a little bit of that out of this. It has that almost, you know, and I don't smoke, of course, never touched a cigarette in my life actually, one of the odd things, but It almost smells, if you take one of these bags that people use with the tobacco in it, that you roll your own cigarettes and smell that, it has a little bit of that kind of aroma to it. It has almost a kind of that, I mean, tobacco can smell different from different strains and stuff like this, but it really, to me, it smells like if you smell the inside of one of these tobacco bags. Not sure how common that is in Scandinavia, actually. I've not seen too many people doing stuff like that. It's more the snus that's the big thing up here. But yeah, this one for me, it does have a little bit of that kind of tobacco-y note to it. There's a little, it's quite, again, that's quite subtle. There's a bit of a woody and nutty character to it. But yeah, lovely balance between the chocolates. You can definitely pick up some of the oatmeal quality in this beer as well, which is very, very nice, and a little bit of the roasty black malt in the background. But mainly, to me, this one comes across as a slightly sweeter Imperial Stout in terms of its aroma, which is quite nice. From what I believe, this is actually one of the regular beers that you can get pretty much all the time in Vinmonopolet, because they had a whole load of them there, and it seemed to be a regular spot for it when I was in the shop. But yeah, it's a lovely smelling beer, this. As I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer. On the hoppy side of things, you can pick up, there's a little bit of earthiness, maybe there's a little touch of grassy and floral note coming out of this beer, but there's also some red fruity notes. You know, you're getting a little bit of a figgy, kind of raisiny type thing. There's maybe a little bit of a sharper plummy or something, plummy kind of note to it, or something like that. But yeah, the aroma on this beer, the aroma on this beer is really nice, and it's definitely a little bit sweeter, leaning to more towards the sweet side of things, in comparison with some of the other Russian Imperial Stouts that I've had. But I'm very, very curious to try this one now and see how we get on. So as I always say, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you taste it, but let's get stuck into this beer. This one is the Konrads Stout, an Imperial Stout, Russian Imperial Stout at 10.4% from the Lervig Aktiebryggeri in Stavanger in Norway. Let's get stuck into this beer. Slange, skål. Yeah, actually, it's interesting because this one, when you first take it in, I actually thought this was going to be a really kind of sweet one, but then it starts to just fade away. You know, the sweetness initially just fades away, and you start to get more and more of the aftertaste out of this one. And it is actually really nice how all of that kind of comes together. Yeah, it definitely, it starts off, it makes you, it almost tricks you into thinking it's going to be a sweet Imperial Stout, and then it just fades away to be a definite roasty, toasty Russian Imperial Stout, this beer. Yeah, that's really, really nice, actually. You know, if you get the chance to try this beer, have a go at it. I can see why there was a little bit of hype kind of surrounding this beer, and as I say, it's one that I'd wanted to try for quite a little while. It was one that I'd heard a lot of good things about. When I saw this in the shop, I didn't realise what it was. I just picked it up and looked at it because it was Lervig. And when I saw it was the Konrads Stout, I was like, right, I have to get one of those. But yeah, I can see why this beer has a good little bit of hype behind it. So let's try and examine the flavour a little bit and see what we get out of this one then. As I always say with these dark beers, sugar it around your palate a little bit and just let your whole mouth adjust to it. But yeah, with this beer, the backbone of the beer, of course, is that kind of roasty, toasty black malt in there. On top of that, with this beer, you can get that there's a big kind of oatiness to this one. The oatmeal really is coming out in this beer quite nicely, and that just smooths it out. It's almost like kind of right in the middle of your palate. The roasty, the sort of bittery, roasty black malt characters are sitting there, and on top of that, you get the nice, smooth, oatmeal-y qualities out of the beer, and that just smooths it out a little bit. On top of that, of course, you're getting some of the nice kind of chocolatey flavours as well. It's got a lovely kind of high cocoa chocolate. I think we're talking around somewhere between the 70 and 80% cocoa mark with this one. I love trying chocolates that have got different levels of cocoa and different types of cocoa bean in them, of course, because you can really detect differences in the flavour there as well. But yeah, with this one, you've got that sort of 70-80ish% kind of cocoa chocolate in them. I'm not picking up too much in the way of brown sugar with this beer. I was picking up a little bit of that in the aroma. But that said, you know, the Russian Imperial Stouts, they don't tend to have that much brown sugar in them. Yeah, well actually, this one, if you go to the very centre of your palate, where you can pick up, there is a little bit of a brown sugary note in there, and it's quite a dark brown sugar. It's almost like a kind of caramelised brown sugar, like a slightly more treacly molasses sort of thing. You can feel a little bit of that right in the very centre of your palate, and that's what will be kind of covering up the boozy quality to this beer as well. But yeah, it's nice how this malt base is balanced. As I say, the big thing that's sticking out for me with this one is the profile of the oats and the way the roastiness is trying to push its way out. As you come further forward on the tongue, there's a little bit of a woody note to this one. If you go right from the very centre part, if you just come forward, there's a nice kind of nutty note in there as well. But it's almost, this beer, I was picking up in the aroma, there was a little bit of an almost tobacco-y note in this one. I really don't even know what tobacco tastes like, but there is something that's almost just a bit more like a slightly herbal. You know, it's more of a kind of herbally, woody type thing, and I'm wondering exactly what that is. But there are some kind of almost leathery sort of notes to this beer as well. The further into the aftertaste you go, the more you get this kind of almost leathery quality out of the beer, and some of the woody and nutty notes start to take a bit more prominence towards the front of the palate. There's a lot going on in the middle of your palate with this one, but it's very, very nice. And as I say, the further into the aftertaste you go, more of the roasty black malts and some of the oatmeal character just starts to push its way out again. The malt base in this beer is really quite nicely balanced, and I would definitely say, compared to some of the other Russian Imperial Stouts I've had, this one is a bit more smooth and slightly more sweet in comparison. I think the last Russian Imperial Stout I did was the Marshal Zhukov from Cigar City over in Florida, and that one was more of a roasty toasty type thing, but it was a little bit smoother in its mouthfeel. This one's quite oily in its mouthfeel, but it's also it is a bit more smooth, I would say, and a little bit sweeter actually. So it's cool how you get all these different nuances with different interpretations of the style. That's one thing I really like about doing these beer reviews, actually. You can talk about things like this and compare beers. But yeah, on the hoppy side of the beer then, back corner of the palate, you've got a really nice earthiness to the beer. You can pick up that. It's got a slightly darker earthiness actually. I'm wondering if they've used a bit of Summit or Williamette or something in this. But yeah, I like how the hoppiness is coming out in this one. The earthiness is a little bit darker, but it smooths out very quickly. Little touch of herbal quality there. Maybe there's a little element of a floral note at the front corners of the palate. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say. But the grassiness is quite subtle. The earthiness is actually spreading quite a bit forward on this one. And if you go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that little oily bubble, where those juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And there's an interesting blend of fruits with this one. Yeah, so this beer for me, it has a little bit of a, it definitely has a little bit of a sort of raisiny sharpness to it, but it's got the more kind of juicy, figgy, datey qualities to it as well. Prunes maybe. It's definitely got a little element of that to it. It could even be, actually, it could even be like could it be like a dark grape or something? Nah, I don't think it's grape. Not grape. It's got that nice kind of typical sort of figgy, red fruity note to it. There's definitely a sort of almost pruny quality to it as well. It's just got a little bit more of a kind of lighter, wet, kind of almost like fluffy juiciness to it, actually, this beer. To me, that's prunes. And it reminds me, actually, it's almost like some of the cakes that my gran used to make when I was quite young, and she used to use prunes in these things. It's almost got a little bit of a sultana kind of edge rather to it than raisins. You know, you get the different coloured grapes that are dried out. And for me, the raisiny notes in this one, it does have a little bit of a raisiny sharpness in the beginning, and then it just smooths out, and you start to get some kind of those figgy, sort of datey, pruny sort of things that are that come out of it quite nicely. So yeah, it's really interesting how all this flavour goes together. The further into the aftertaste you go though, that fruitiness more evolves to be like a little, it's almost like a kind of candied strawberry or candied blackberry or something like that. It reminds me a little bit of the heart-shaped sweets you get in Haribo Star Mix. It has that kind of feel to it, if you like. So the further you go into the aftertaste with this beer, the red fruity notes just evolve to be a little bit more almost candied, if you like. But I really like how this beer goes together. It's very, very nice, and I'm glad that I was able to try this for you. It gets a big thumbs up from me. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. I think in terms of the Russian Imperial Stouts, it's slightly sweeter. It's slightly smoother than some of the other ones that I've had actually, but that suits it. You always get different little nuances when you try things from different breweries, and I'm not surprised. The Scandinavian breweries generally are very, very good when it comes to the Imperial Stout style. Actually, the Danes, the Swedes, the Norwegians, even the Finns have got some really good ones, and I think I've had a couple of really good Imperial Stouts. Well, I know I have actually, the Lava and things like that from Ovesult in Iceland as well. The Nordic countries are very good at Imperial Stouts. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel of this beer then, this one to me, it's a full-bodied beer. I don't think there's much question about that. The carbonation's very, very smooth. This one leans more towards the oily side of things. Malt base, as I say, has a good balance between the roasty bitterness. It does evolve to be a little bit smoother later on, and there's a bit of sweetness in there as well. It's got everything you'd kind of want from the style. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness to this beer as well. I think this one's around the sort of 60, maybe 70 IBU mark. I think it's somewhere in that kind of region, and that's both from the malt base and from the hops in this beer actually. It's got a mixture, it's got a balance of both, but you've also got the sweetness from the malt base and the smoothness, as I say, to balance that out, and you've got a lovely little bit of sharpness from the juicy fruits as well. But overall, it's a really quite nice and interesting beer, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to review this for you. This is a beer I'd heard a lot about, and I thought this was a good one to kick off this kind of Norwegian mini-series for you. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this one and the other beers that will appear in the in this sort of mini-series, if you like, as we go forward. But do please let me know about some of the other Norwegian beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review, because I know that there's some really, really good breweries up there now, but probably we just don't hear about them down here in Sweden. And again, that's what they've got. Vinmonopolet, we've got Systembolaget, there's some of these little breweries that you just won't hear of because of the way the alcohol buying system works in the Nordic countries. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. Please, as I say, let me know your thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Lervig Aktiebryggeri as well. Do give me some other Norwegian beer recommendations, and you will be seeing some more Norwegian beers appear on the channel over the next couple of weeks. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. This is the Konrads Stout and Russian Imperial Stout at 10.4%. A lovely, smooth and slightly sweeter example of the style in my opinion, but a great beer, and one that I do recommend that you get your hands on if you get the chance. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you check out my social media. Make sure you try some of these Lervig Aktiebryggeri beers, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Konrads Stout from Lervig Aktiebryggeri in Stavanger in southwestern Norway. Stavanger, skål.